What do you say to voters who feel they are worse off under your presidency than they were under President Trump?
We got to take a look at what I was left when I became president and what Mr. Trump left me. We had an economy that was in free fall. The pandemic was so badly handled. Many people were dying. All he said was, it's not that serious. Just inject a little bleach into your arm. You'll be all right. The economy collapsed. There were no jobs. Unemployment rate rose to 15%. It was terrible. And so what we had to do is try to put things back together again. And that's exactly what we began to do. We created 15,000 new jobs. We brought out the position where we have 800,000 new manufacturing jobs. But there's more to be done. There's more to be done. Working class people are still in trouble. I come from Scranton, Pennsylvania. I come of a household where the kitchen table, if the things weren't able to be met during the month, it was a problem. Price of eggs, the price of gas, the price of housing, the price of a whole range of things. That's why I'm working so hard to make sure I deal with those problems. And we're going to make sure that we reduce the price of housing. We're going to make sure we build 2 million new units. We're going to make sure we cap rents so corporate greed can't take over. The combination, what I was left with in corporate greed, is the reason why we're in this problem right now. In addition to that, we're in a situation where if you take a look at all that was done in his administration, he didn't do much at all. By the time he left, things were in chaos. Literally chaos. And so we put things back together. We created, I said, those jobs. We make sure we had a situation where we brought down the price of prescription drugs, which is a major issue for many people, to $15 for a insulin shot as opposed to $400. No senior has to pay more than $200 for any drug, all the drugs they can include beginning next year. And the situation is and we're going to make that available to everybody, to all Americans. So we're working to bring down the price around the kitchen table, and that's what we're going to get done.
Thank you. President Trump?
We have the greatest economy in the history of our country. We have never done so well. Everybody was amazed by it. Other countries were copying us. We got hit with COVID. And when we did, we spent the money necessary so we wouldn't end up in a Great Depression, the likes of which we had in 1929. By the time we finished, so we did a great job. We got a lot of credit for the economy, a lot of credit for the military, and no wars and so many other things. Everything was rocking good. But the thing we never got the credit for, and we should have, is getting us out of that COVID mess. He created mandates that was a disaster for our country. But other than that, we had given them back a country where the stock market actually was higher than pre-COVID, and nobody thought that was even possible. The only jobs he created are for illegal immigrants and bounce back jobs, a bounce back from the COVID. He has not done a good job. He's done a poor job, and inflation's killing our country. It is absolutely killing us.
Thank you. President Biden?
Well, look, the greatest economy in the world, he's the only one who thinks that, I think. I don't know anybody else who thinks he had the greatest economy in the world. And, you know, the fact of the matter is that we found ourselves in a situation where his economy, he rewarded the wealthy. He had the largest tax cut in American history, $2 trillion. He raised a deficit larger than any president has in any one term. He's the only president other than Herbert Hoover who's lost more jobs than he had when he began, since Herbert Hoover. The idea that he did something that was significant. And the military, you know, when he was president, they were still killing people in Afghanistan. He didn't do anything about that. When he was president, we were still finding ourselves in a position where you had a notion that we were this safe country. The truth is, I'm the only president this century that doesn't have this decade, that doesn't have any troops dying anywhere in the world like he did.
President Trump, I want to follow up if I can.
Am I allowed to respond to him?
Well, I'm going to ask you a follow-up. You can do whatever you want with the minute that we give you. I want to follow up. You want to impose a 10% tariff on all goods coming into the U.S. How will you ensure that that doesn't drive prices even higher?
It's not going to drive them higher. It's just going to cost countries that have been ripping us off for years, like China and many others, in all fairness to China. It's going to just force them to pay us a lot of money, reduce our deficit tremendously, and give us a lot of power for other things. But he made a statement. The only thing he was right about is I gave you the largest tax cut in history. I also gave you the largest regulation cut in history. That's why we had all the jobs. And the jobs went down, and then they bounced back, and he's taking credit for bounce back jobs. You can't do that. He also said He inherited 9% inflation. No, he inherited almost no inflation, and it stayed that way for 14 months. And then it blew up under his leadership because they spent money like a bunch of people that didn't know what they were doing. And they don't know what they were doing. It was the worst, probably the worst administration in history. There's never been. And as far as Afghanistan is concerned, I was getting out of Afghanistan, but we were getting out with dignity, with strength, with power. He got out. It was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country's life.
So we stopped there. Yes. Oh no, I don't know. You want me to go first? You already know. Not only that, but shout out to Jess hit me out. He was texting me yesterday while after the debate was done. I was dying. And Jess hit me out. I got Jess hit me out. He was watching that thing glued in. You know, and now that shout out to the baby white, aka Happy, is also in the building. Shout out to you, sweetheart. Great to see you. As we get ready to talk about this presidential debate. I'm not gonna lie. If you ask me who won this debate when it comes to the aspect of the economic, Trump. Trump is absolutely right. Even after you go and fact check, you saw that him during the time, him and his presidency, the economy was still doing good, even though we was dealing with COVID.
Yeah.
So you got to give credit to him for that. And people even they say one thing they would never take away from Trump is the aspect of the way he ran the economy. They kept saying that he was making good trade deals, especially when it came to the aspect of foreign affairs. He had good business deal with China, good business deal with Russia. He's a great businessman. I'm gonna give it to him. He was doing the business deal the way it should be done, and that's how you get the economy. That's how you get the economy stimulated. To me, if I was President Trump, I could have used this against Biden and say, hey, Biden, what are you dealing with the interest rate? Because right now the interest rate is extremely high, even when it comes to the aspect of car loans, housing market, rental. He could have easily got him on the interest rate, and that would have destroyed a whole Biden argument talking about the economy is running good by him, which is not, because people are continuing to suffer. And right now, even the price of buying a home is so extremely high that people have to move back to their parents. So the first round, go to President Trump. I'm not gonna lie to you, and I'm not gonna be biased and be like President Trump everything. No, there was some things I disagree with President Trump as well. Go ahead, Akeem.
100%. I'm gonna try to be quick about this, but you're 100% right. Speaking from my anecdotal experience, I was making $1,200 a week under Trump's tenure. There were so many jobs. You could quit a job and walk into a job. And people, if y'all forgot, when y'all was filing your taxes those years, he was giving tax cuts. I don't know what he did. The checks seemed a little bit bigger. The checks was bigger. And if you had kids, you wasn't getting penalized for not having Obamacare. A lot of y'all remember, if y'all didn't have Obamacare, you was getting taxed. Under his tenure, he changed that. So funny enough is this. I say he has a point. When we was under him, there was not much of that. What jobs is Biden is creating? There's YouTube videos. 12 million Americans right now are looking for jobs. That's an actual stat. 12 million. There's a guy on YouTube who did a video. He applied to 1,500 jobs, and he's a project manager and could not find a job. So this goes to Trump.
Yeah, I agree with you, both of you guys. You know, I'm a fair guy. You know, like I said, I'm not a Democrat nor am I a Republican. You know, I just see, you know, who's talking the real talk when it comes to economics. I'm gonna lean on Donald Trump on this. We are heading toward to a depression right now, a great depression right now. The housing, the inflation is going through the roof, man. It's crazy. Here in California, they're trying to raise minimum wage. But the thing is, it's like when you raise minimum wage, you work at McDonald's, Burger King, Subway, all that type of things, you know, that means you got to, you gonna raise minimum wage on that. That means you gonna raise food prices, and also, you know, you got to cut down hours and everything, which is not a good thing. I agree with you 100%, Hakeem. When Trump was in office, especially when tax season come, I was getting money. That money, I mean, 2018? Yeah, 2018. That money helped me go to LA. I got like almost like over 3K just by myself. That money right there helped me move to LA. And then when I moved to and then when Trump was still in office and with the tax season, I was getting back like, where is this coming from? And then when Joe Biden got in here, I feel like everything started to shrink a little bit, go down and down and down. You know, and the thing is like, you know, even though we're doing terrible in our economy right now, it makes me be smarter on how I spend my money, how I spend my groceries, if I want to go out or not, something like that. But the thing is like when Trump was in office, it felt like I could do anything I want in the way. You know, I could believe I could get a house. A lot of people now, you know how housing is right now. A lot of people, especially our generation, millennials, and the Generation Z's, they're looking at us like, yo, can I ever get a house in my life? Can I ever get a house in my life? It should never be that way. It should never be that way. I believe I can still get a house in California some way, somehow. But a lot of people cannot believe. It's like, yo, can I even buy a house? Or even a condo? It's gonna be like that. But yeah, man, this debate right here when it comes to the economy, it goes to Trump, man. And Trump, when it comes to money, man, he makes wonders, man. He makes our pockets a little heavy. I'm just speaking the truth.
Now, don't get me wrong. Even though the situation with pre-COVID, like I said, how Trump handled COVID was caused a lot of people disagree with him, and I disagree with him as well. He should have handled COVID much better. However, when it came to the aspect of the economy, like Hakeem said, you could quit a job and get another one. That's powerful. Go ahead, Hakeem.
Hakeem, I'm gonna say this: when Trump was in office, we had COVID. Even though my wife was working in the line cook, she jumped into job to job, easy. This year, even though we have a baby and everything, my wife was looking for her job. You know, it took my wife to find us. My wife finally got a stable job. Congrats to my wife, she finally got a stable job. It took about 8 to 9 months to get her a stable job. Just to get a stable job, 8 months, 8 to 9 months. And usually my wife can find a job just like that. But the thing is like how the economy is and everything, and here in LA it's so competitive. You know, it took so long, and I had to push my wife. Say, hey, you gonna find a job? It's cool, but usually with my wife, it doesn't take them that long to get a job. It, like I said, took 8 or 9 months when she finally started to get a job. When Trump was in office, it was easy. I just want to leave
very easy. Go ahead, Hakeem.
There's one last point I want to put. There was a part that everybody was an uproar where Donald Trump, and this is, I just pray that we could stop getting so emotional and stop nitpicking and trying to depict people are racist. America's racist. But when Trump says that Biden allowed 14 million immigrants to come in, which is now taking away black jobs. Y'all say he's racist for that? Is you stupid? He's telling the truth. Black people are now in a worse position to get jobs. The little bullshit jobs you was able to get to survive is now being done by somebody who's not a U.S. citizen.
That is correct. A foreign. So I'm saying let's start in understanding he's the only one who's saying they're taking black jobs away. I've never heard a president talk like that. Let's stop getting emotional.